Hey everyone! Today I'm really excited to share a beautiful story that is very close to my heart. Let's dive in. Meera met Karan on her first day of college in Lucknow, where the seniors were interacting with the freshers. It was one of those moments that seemed like just another part of the usual college rituals in those days. With a gentle smile, Karan approached Meera, who looked visibly nervous as the batchmates were being ragged, and it was quite evident that she felt a little scared. Sensing this, he tried to ease her tension. With a playful grin, he gave her a few hints and asked her to guess his name. Meera chuckled, unsure of how to react at first, but it was clear that Karan wasn't a typical senior. He wasn't there to intimidate her. Instead, he was just trying to make her feel at ease. Meera never thought much about Karan beyond the fact that he was just one of the rare third-year seniors who didn't really rag the freshers. While most of his batchmates enjoyed pulling harmless pranks on the juniors, Karan stood out as one of the most kind-hearted, understanding, and a genuinely decent seniors around. As time passed, Karan found small ways to interact with Meera. Casual conversations between lectures and moments of shared laughter during lunch breaks. He was never pushy, never overbearing, just always around in a way that felt natural. It wasn't long before she started hearing whispers from his friends. You know, Karan really likes you. He sits on the terrace at night staring at the stars. What they didn't tell her was that Karan would sit there for hours, lost in thought, gazing at the night sky and thinking about her, wondering if she'd ever see him the way he saw her. She would laugh it off, saying, "He's just a sweet senior and a good friend. That's all." But Karan wasn't just any senior. Over the year, he left hints, small, unspoken gestures. He'd casually ask her to watch a movie, and she'd agree, but only as a friend. During college fest, he'd find ways to talk to her, even if it meant going through her friends. Yet for Meera, he remained just that, her friendly, respectful senior. Then came the freshers' party, the night that unknowingly shifted something between them. As the music changed to "My Heart Will Go On," Karan extended his hand towards her. "Would you dance with me?" Meera hesitated. I don't know how to dance." "That's okay, I'll lead," he said with a soft smile playing on his lips. 10,000 excuses raced through her mind, each one louder than the last, urging her to politely refuse the dance. But there was Karan, standing in front of her, his hand extended and his eyes locked on hers. She couldn't look away, and with a deep breath, she finally took his hand, her heart pounding like never before. This was the first time ever that she was dancing with someone, and not just any dance, but a close dance. The lights dimmed, the music played, and Karan's gentle hand on her waist sent shivers down her spine. For Karan, the touch sparked a jolt of electricity like a 440-volt current racing through him. As they swayed to the song, she kept her eyes fixed firmly on the ground, too shy to meet his gaze. Karan, with a naughty smile, tilting his head slightly, asked, "You do know the rule of a close dance, right?" Meera, who was still not looking up, asked, "What rule?" "You have to look into the eyes of the beholder." Her breath hitched. Slowly she lifted her gaze, meeting his eyes for the first time that night. And in that moment something shifted. A quiet realization she wasn't ready to acknowledge just yet. Finally, the time came for the third years to leave, and with it, the farewells. Karan, being the gentleman he was, never asked for her number. Instead, he left her a goodbye card with his number and a simple note. "If you ever feel like reaching out, you know where to find me." Life took them on separate paths. Meera moved to Delhi for her studies, and Karan began working at one of the finest hotels in Delhi. She had his number, and every once in a while, she'd call just a casual hi. Just enough to stay in touch, but never enough to change anything. Years passed and their worlds kept spinning. Meera was busy with her college and Karan was building his career. Eventually, he took a leap into a whole new world, the Indian Army. One evening before he had to leave for Dehradun, he called her. I know Meera, we haven't met after college, but can we meet once before I leave? And so, after 2 years of being in the same city but never crossing paths, they met at Delhi Heart. It was effortless, like no time had passed. They talked, laughed, and caught up on everything. Then, just as easily as he had walked into her life years ago, he walked away again, stepping into a future she wasn't sure she'd ever be a part of. They stayed connected through letters, long, heartfelt messages filled with everything they couldn't say aloud. Karan would eagerly wait for her letters, counting days until the next one arrived. Once in a while, he'd call her from the PCO just to hear her voice. Whenever he came home on leave, they made it a point to meet. No secrets, no stolen moments. Just two friends catching up, always with the quiet understanding that they belong to different worlds. Until somewhere along the way, Meera realized that she was slowly but surely falling for him. She didn't know when and how, or if he even felt the same. But the thought of a life without those letters, without those meetings, felt incomplete. Meanwhile, Karan, after completing his training at the IMA, had received his posting, and Meera had started working as a trainer in an MNC in Gurgaon. As fate would have it, her parents had begun searching for a match for her, and Karan's parents were doing the same for him. There had been no confession, no grand realization, just an understanding that time was slipping away. It was then that one of Meera's closest friends, who had witnessed the evolution of their friendship, finally asked Karan the questions she couldn't bring herself to. Do you like Meera? Yes. Do you love her? Yes. If given the chance, would you like to marry her? Most definitely, Karan said with a twinkle in his eyes. And that was it. No dramatic proposal, no cinematic moment. Just a quiet truth waiting to be acknowledged. When they finally spoke to their parents, they made one thing very clear. Meet each other, and if you approve of us, only then will we move forward. And in that moment, both Meera and Karan realized that there was no better way to begin forever than with someone who had already been by your side through every step of life, your closest friend. And this time, when Meera met Karan's gaze, she didn't look away. She didn't need to, because she had finally found her answer. Love isn't always about grand gestures or dramatic confessions. Sometimes it's about choosing the quiet, comforting familiarity over the uncertainty of the unknown. It's about stepping into a world that already feels like home. A world that had always been there, waiting for her to see it. Hope you enjoyed the story. Stay happy, stay loving, and keep smiling. Happy listening!